Here's a scenario. You are on Line Webtoon ready to post your comic, and when you do, you'll notice that there is a rating system up in the corner. All is well, everything looks fine. So you post your comic and it's at a 10-star, but then when you come back to post it again, say a few days, it's at a 7-star. What's happening? How did it drop so drastically? Salutations and welcome to the AVIF channel. If you're new here, hello, welcome. My name is AVIFC. Call me that either or any rhyme or reason. If you're coming back, welcome back. I appreciate you all for always coming back and showing me support on not only my webtoon but my YouTube videos as well, or any other things I have in the works. So thank you for coming back. And today we are discussing a topic that deals with the rating system of Line Webtoon. Now you may be wondering to yourself, Viv, I don't post on Webtoon, I don't even read there. What's the rating system about? And why is it so drastic, as in that scenario from earlier, that your ratings could drop at any moment? What's going on? Why is it so sensitive? Well, today we are here to discuss what it is, why it is, and why you may perhaps shouldn't be so concerned about it if you have a problem with keeping up with the semantics and schisms of the rating system. Now, of course, as you can tell from the length of this video, this will perhaps be a lengthy one. So if you have nothing to do that is cute, you need something to do. Cook something, clean something, draw something, read something, sew something, vacuum, do laundry, do the dishes, do some needle art, and go ahead and show me on my personal Twitter or Instagram through the description box below. And without any further ado, I want you to nab a pen, pencil, or cooking utensil, or a margarita if you're of age, and let's dive. So what do you call a problem such as this in Line Webtoon when it comes to the rating system, when it comes to drastic changes in it, and when it comes to not really understanding how it works, why it works, or what it's there for? I like to call it the Rate Conundrum. Get it? Rate Conundrum. Yeah. The title was better for the output of the message. But moving on, we can go ahead and discuss what influences ratings and why it shouldn't influence your webtoon. But before we get into that thicket of the conversation, let's go ahead and discuss what are ratings on Line Webtoon. So the rating system, of course, as you can see maybe up in the corner when you post a webtoon, or go ahead and open up, I could probably show you on the screen just the symbolism, but it's symbolized by a star icon, and through this star icon it is displayed in a 1 to 10 scaling grade notion. So this implies that, oh, this is a 5 out of 10, right? Or this is a 7 out of 10. Actually, the way that Line Webtoon works with their grade system is they divide it in decimal points. So I believe there's in the formula, the overarching formula of the input-output operational values, it may have to do with a lot of division. So there is decimal points going on. It's not just a 1 out of 10, it's actually 1.2 out of 10. Or a 9.89 out of 10. This one's relatively common. Now, does this imply that this is a bad system, a way of grading, or rather is it inefficient? Perhaps. In visceral response to this, I would have to say for myself, personally, when I look at the grading system and how it's set up, it's a bit confusing. It's a bit jarring, really, because I haven't seen this really used anywhere else, having a decimal system such as this. And in this case, I really don't see why we need a decimal system, because there's no mathematical variables or variance involved with this formula. There's no integrals actually contributing to the overall factors of the grading system. In other words, say that we have a actual rubric scale to go off of. When a rubric scale is counted for, validated for, there's actually a formula applied to, and yes, maybe Webtoon has a formula that they're following. However, with this sort of faux pas, I'm not really sure why we would need to see the decimal values of a Webtoon where you can easily round them up, if that makes sense. Instead of saying like a 5.5 out of 10, why don't we just say, you know, a 6 out of 10? Or if it is a 5.5 out of 10, why not keep it that way and not go into the extra divisions that come about with it, so it jumps to a 5.51 out of 10. I hope I'm conjuring an image within your mind. Unanimously, we can agree that the rating system is a bit wonky, it's a bit kooky, but overall, it does provide the reader some substance when it comes to credibility when approaching a work. It goes in a fashion like this. If I were to read a random story that I picked off of the shelf of Webtoons lineup, I can go ahead and look at the ratings of what the community thinks and say, should I read this because everyone's giving this a 6 out of 10? Or should I skip it? I don't know. I'll read the description, and inadvertently, those ratings actually influence your overall judgments of whether you're going to read or not, or continue to stick with it. It's not so much of an impactful sort of way to lure you into staying or not, or it's not really obvious, rather. It's a subtle mechanism, and it does so in a way that conscious virtual signaling. So it's like a virtual signal. It influences your decision in the slightest in the back of your mind, and say, the description here, I'm very into this. However, the ratings look kind of tilted, so I might give this a go. You're not really excited about it as much anymore. Or if you were hesitant about reading it, like you read the description and you're like, this doesn't sound like me. And the ratings are saying equal wise. So I think I'm going to skip on this. And that is where the influence inbounds. So take these with a good portion in your mind that this is what it primarily does for your comic. They do not give visual effects for your comic, like the banners when you click on a Webtoon Canvas series and you see in the corner it says 100,000 subscribers in a little circle box and then 500,000 heart likes at the bottom. It doesn't do that. It doesn't say 9 out of 10 stars. It doesn't say that anywhere on your thumbnail when you're clicking into the Webtoon. So it actually does proponently nothing when it comes to promoting or advancing people to stick to your tune. With that in mind, what does it actually do for us? Well, as I explained earlier, it just does a visceral response. It does a subdued coding effect, a veil of influence. There is no primary, obvious, blatant way to direct how people look at it, but rather it's subtle. Now, with that in mind, that said and done, let's go ahead and see what influences the ratings on Webtoon and what should influence the ratings on Webtoon. The impenetrable number star, that is the 10 star on Webtoon, is easy to be influenced by others who come in and give it whatever rating, what have you, they choose to give it as. And the 10 star is affected and no longer perfect because something has influenced their mindsets of changing that perfect 10 to a 9.98 out of 10. What influences ratings on that site? Let's get into the hive mind definition. A hive mind conspicuously just means that everyone thinks alike or thinks as is in the same format. Everyone is like-minded individuals. Group mind effect, right? The group mind effect where everyone thinks one certain way, and in typical medias or TV shows or any sort of bigger cast flicks that involve bigger casts, it has a hive mind effect. Now, what does this have to do with ratings? Everything. If someone sees that a low rating is on a Webtoon, sitting on a Webtoon, a person is perturbed to even bother going in and agreeing with the populace because it is just the humanistic thing to do. It is the humanistic thing to do what another human does. If someone says this has a low rating on it, a 4.9 out of 10, I'm going to go in and I'm going to judge it for myself because I want to see for myself how this can be redeemable, how this can go on my personal rubric scale and see if it holds up to the cake. And inadvertently, again, as we talked about earlier, their judgment is marred, it is stained, and they no longer have it through the fresh pair of eyes of innocent glares to look through and say, okay, I'm looking at this solely based off of my preferences, what I think is judgmentally right for a story. No, they're going through this because they say, oh yeah, this has a low score already, so this is definitely low score material. I see why, thus lowering the score even more. So that is one principle I believe is influenced, or rather laced and aidled intention that people bring about when judging a Webtoon. They see that everyone else has done it and they go in with the same blinders, or blindfolds rather, of what everyone else has said, and it is, the consensus has been made, that is my final call. I'm giving this a low score because That's what I see. And that is primarily one reason why this happens. And I think this could be morally explained like this. If you are a child, you are easily influenced by others and their opinions. Not many if you may know this, but the webtoon audience actually delegates to a younger audience of teenagers, adolescents. It is not for young adults per se. There's not a lot of traction with the young adult audience or the adult audience, but it's still there. But what outweighs the audience there is the adolescent, teenagers, children. And that is why we see sometimes instant clicks of instant judgments that go into this. It's not a mature discernment. There's the word. It's not mature discernment. And thus, the moment that someone sees something wrong with it, everyone has already agreed that it's bad. They go into the thing thinking, oh yeah, this is bad. And so it adds on. As well, they don't take into accountability that there is more that comes to the mind of scaling and weighing something. Another influence that decides a factor of someone's rating is if a reader feels connected to the story or they feel relatability to the story. Relatability has a lot of traction these days as it solely intertwines what one thinks about a product, a experience, a whatever have you. Relatability has been something that everyone has been trying to incorporate with their corporation brands. So this comes also with the generational waves that everyone wants to relate to something or relate to a character. And the moment that a character in their favorite story may not relate to them, they will give that a low score. Because they do not see themselves within the character, they do not see themselves of the character at first like they maybe had been, or maybe they didn't like the character at the beginning. They agree just because Jan in the story doesn't like the color green, it's not relatable to them, so it's a low score. That's a bit much, isn't it? That's a rather innate experience, but it does happen, and that is one of the reasons it does happen. Another influence of readers on Webtoon, Line Webtoon, to encourage a score or not is if the art does not look good or looks good. Believe it or not, people will rate your webtoon based off of the art. The very thing that you are stifled in the most, the very thing that your confidence is deprived of. Your art. People will look at the art, and if it doesn't have pretty pictures, if the special effects are not to their standard, if they don't like the way that you stylized a certain scene or how the colors are interpreted, it will not go as a high score for them. Now, these examples are rather extreme, you may be telling me. This is not realistic. But realism does not really fester in the minds of humans sometimes. Sometimes our expectations are so high that we forget that there are humans working on these works as well. And so the problem arises with these judgment factors or judgment calls of how ratings are being done on Line Webtoon. Yes, they are personable enchantments of what a reader wishes to enthrall onto the creator themselves. They are unrealistic, they are unchallenged, and they are unfair of how they delegate or decide whether a webtoon swims or sinks. But this is the reality of Line Webtoon, and this is one reason why people start rate bombing a webtoon. Oh, right. Rate bombing, that is another factor that comes into the ratings that should not be, but on Line Webtoon there is a lot of rate bombs, especially that happens around the webtoon contest months. Yeah, this is not a video about that, but it happens. Fans and stans of their king and queen's favorite webcomic will go through others and start rate bombing it because they don't like how it's competing with their king and queen's comic. And that's just how it goes. That's just how it works. And that's just what it is, rate bombs. So these are the few factors, key factors, that influence a rating on Line Webtoon, and which shouldn't influence a rating. Now let's talk about what should influence a rating on Line Webtoon. What should influence a rating there is the fundamentals, of course, the very thing people forget about most often. Instead of worrying about if Jan hooks up with George and you're upset that the primary couple didn't, how about we look at why the tune was created? For the sole purpose of the creator's, author's vision. Let's look at the factors of story pacing. Let's look at the factors of character dialogue. Let's look at the factors of character psychology. Let's look at the factors of color placements. And I'm not saying the choice of color, I'm saying the color placements. How smart they are about choosing their colors. Let's attribute to these things that are most important when it comes to making a work of art. Let's look at the things that we're looking at. It is a story, first and foremost. It is not solely a relief piece for people to come in and disperse all their desires upon. No, it is a story first and foremost, so you need to take those factors into play, such as, does this have good pacing? Does this have any repetition anywhere? Is the story keeping me entranced? Is the moral of the story a good one? Is it repetitive? Is the theme, the story theme, very visceral? We can feel it, we can see it. Is the character's motives clear? These are the things that should influence a webtoon, but yet they don't, because they're not as popular to think about. People want to turn off the brains, right, and go into a webtoon, you know, after a long day of work. I understand, long day of work, maybe at a retail store, and you go in and start reading one because you just want to see something cute, like you want to see some thick cake. You want to see some frosting. Yeah, some frosting on dudes, making it steamy and hot. And yeah, you want to see that, don't you? You don't take into account of those other factors, the more concrete factors. When it comes to judging a story, people look at the fun things about a webtoon, the tangible things, than the intangible and what's supposed to be spoken through the story as. But again, this is what should influence a rating. This is what should be the thing, but it doesn't. When it does, however, you will see better scores and better feedbacks and better criticism sometimes in the comments about what can maybe improve about a story or what couldn't, yada yada yada. That is one of the many things that the bulk of the reasoning of what should be taken on face value when you're rating a webtoon. Now that we know what should influence a webtoon, why do people care about the ratings? After all that we've talked about of what influences ratings on this site and what shouldn't and what people do anyway, why do people still care about the ratings? Interestingly enough, even though these factors are into play of the webtoon rating system, people still give the time of their day to check back on their webtoon to see if they drop a couple of decimal places from that 10-star rating. Yes, I have heard stories of people actually going back, refreshing their page on the day of update day, and they'll refresh to see if their ratings are anchoring, if they're dropping. And they also do it during the limits of their week, the actual time of day that they have of their lives. They will go in and see if their webtoon ratings are dropping, and they have this sort of odd obsession with seeing if they are staying at a 9-star or a 10-star. And to those people, I really want to ask you, is this the right line of work for you? Are you in the right line of work? Is this really for you? Because I cannot understand those people myself, of who goes back in the middle of the week just to check if they drop from a 9.89 to an 8 point whatever. I don't understand. Yet people still care. Why do people still care? There are many contributors to this. For one, foremost, it's a sense of achievement. People who have a strong sense and attachment to something they've worked hard on, that they put their heart and soul into, they forget to differentiate that they are not the work they produce, they are the person they are. They tend to sense that the work itself is an extent of themselves. Daily reminder, PSA everyone, you are not the extent of the works you produce. You are more than the works that you produce. You are better than the works that you produce. Always, firstly, foremost, remember that. But people seem to forget that. And they often attribute to the fact that I am getting rejection because they are rejecting me. This problem everyone, comes within the youthful mind. This is a youthful problem, a child's problem. You will see people moreover tear about this, wear and tear on themselves, if they are children on the site. Again, as we affirmed earlier, children come onto this site and they can make webtoons too. So when they do and they get a bad score, they think, oh, they're rejecting me, because that's how a child thinks. They can't separate the two. But when adults get into this categorism, they have a inward problem, I believe. It's a problem of acclimating themselves to the realism of reality. People are going to criticize your works. People will criticize what you do. And when they feel that they are not good enough for the thing, they forget a sense of themselves. You need to always remember, as an artist, as an author, you need to be mature enough to take the blows that people throw you, the darts and the stones that people toss at you. That is your obligation as a creator. No, they're not supposed to dehumanize you in inhumane ways, but they do anyway. You're supposed to take it on. You're supposed to take on those things. Pull up your bridges and walk forth as the big person you are, because you were supposed to be able to handle those criticisms. You were supposed to be able to ventilate that within yourself and say, those are criticisms that are not good, it's not good feedback, or these criticisms are good feedback. I'm going to listen to this. You're supposed to be able, as a good artist, author, creator, business entrepreneur, you're supposed to know how to rationalize these things and see them as they are. And that is one reason why people care about the ratings on Webtoon. And going back to the example again, where yes, people do you think it's work of fiction, but no, people actually go in and sometimes daily check to see if the ratings are dropping. I'm talking as though I don't know this from experience. Guys, here comes a spoiler alert. Segue into pillory of admittance. Guess what, guys? This one right here. Yeah, I used to do that. I used to be that person. When I first posted Psychophant, here it's on the screen, I would check in daily, sometimes obsessively hourly, to see if I was garnering a 10-star, if I was staying at a 10-star, if people were reading, subscribing, whatever have you. And I was checking in to see if the ratings were going up or down, planking or dropping, and I would check just irrationally out of the time of my day of my life. And I did this for a week, thank goodness. At some point during the end of the week, I was like, you know what the hell am I doing? What the fuck am I doing? This is not healthy. I need to get out of my fucking space and go do something with my fucking life, because this is not it. It is not it. And so I just learned early on that I'm not attached to this. This is not my life. And yeah, after that week, I didn't care. I really didn't. And that's just me. And I know some people are listening in right now trying to look for some tips on how to deal with this problem inwardly. And if you are listening in and you want some tips, I can tell you this. Think about this from an introspective view. Is Webtoon paying you guys? I think that will go ahead and click off for some of you. If that's not good enough, if Webtoon's not paying you, are people paying you on Patreon, Coffee? Are you getting any monetary line of support anywhere from this comic? It's still not clicking? Okay. Well, what about, are you getting recognition from your ratings? Is there a 10-star genre on Webtoon that people can line up and find your Webtoon on if you have a pristine score? Yeah. You're seeing what I'm saying here to you all? This is not effective. It's not effective for your growth, nor it is for your health. There is no effective stratagem to this tool that helps you gain attraction for your comic. It is not practical for any sort of help or efficient for any status building momentum that you can gain from this. No, it does none of that, because there is no true attrition from this. There is no true aid that comes into play with this. So think about those things in your mind, everyone. The people who are struggling with this, who are checking daily, and Here's another example. I'm not trying to throw shade at anyone, but I see this often on a webtoon canvas. People will actually update their comment saying, alright everyone, I'm standing at a 7 out of 10. What's going on? TikTok, TikTok. If I don't get to it 10 out of 10, there will be no other update and there will be no comic. I worked so hard on this. I worked my ass off for this. TikTok, TikTok, take me to a 10. Hurry up. No. Oh, hell no. What makes you think you are entitled to demand such things from your reader base? You know, I think we need to talk about that soon, the accountability of readers. But what makes you think that you have the audacity to demand your readers and the people who take their times out of the day to read your thing and give you whatever score they have, because Webtoon gives them that option? It does. It's unfair, it is. And as detrimental as it does for your scenes of your viewing pleasures, they still have that option. So what makes you think that you have the right to demand them, hold them at comic point, and say, I'm not giving you any more of my works if I'm not at a 10 at the end of the week? No comic. That's immature. And I think children do that. If it is not a child, I don't know what to say to that person, because you are supposed to be more than that. What are you doing? If you love the comic that you're doing, you will not let anything stop you. Not no rating on a site that no one even knows about. Like the ratings. No one knows about the ratings. It's not even on Tapas, for Pete's sake. So why are you making this such a big deal? Why are you making this a big deal? So this is one of many enigmas that I have within myself to wonder, why do people care? Why do people care? Why should people care? But those are the reasons why people care. Those people may be more perfectionist than I. We had a little perfectionist talk, but I'm gonna make another video about that, don't worry. But I have a perfectionism problem, but when I see people woeing, have qualms about the ratings, I think you're more of a perfectionist than I, because I really don't see it. I really don't. And come what have you, who am I to speak on these things? Who am I to say such things about this? But this really what it is, guys. I'm bringing it to the table hot and steaming. Touch it. It's gonna burn you. I am not holding back on this. I really think that's why people really shouldn't care. But they do. Now that we talked about why people care about the ratings, how about we go more over into why I don't care? Yeah, the segue, a harsh segue into this ineffable fashion that I can execute this to you all in an imagery sort of fashion. Okay, drum roll please. Yeah, Psychofan, woo, it's up on the screen. What rating is it standing at? Oh my gosh, it's a 5-star out of whatever. Oh my goodness, I know some of you are going to vomit at the sight of this, but it is what it is, and I don't give a fuck. I don't care. You know why I don't care? You know why I'm in peace with myself? Do you want to know why? The reason why I don't care about the rating system is because of one, the very things that we've been talking about through this entire video. It does nothing for you practically. And two, who is it for anyone to decide that your comic's worth it or not? Who is it to say that someone has the sole jurisdiction to say that your comic can make it or not, or your comic is stellar performance, a proficient, profound grade? Who is it to say that it has that standard? Who are you? Who is it? Yes, they are unanimous people, the reader base of the community of Canvas, not originals, Canvas. That's speaking some levels to me. So that's part of the reason why I don't care. And why I was able to just quip with I don't care mentality of what you rate me as. Because this little tool here, it can go out in a flick of a day, guys. Think about this. Webtoon can all of a sudden think, you know what, we're gonna snatch away the rank system. So that 10-star you've been working for so hard, yeah, dreams flop. Webtoon took it away. And I think you need to always keep that hovering within your mind. Yeah, this is a site that shares your comic. They're not paying you. They're allowing you to go onto their territory and showcase your work. Wait, I think it's coming on. I think I got the word. Diligence. There it is. Diligence. Having the soul intact within yourself, not pushed or pulled by any other force, but within yourself, to have the soul mind that you are doing this for your passion, for your interest, for your peaks of interest, for your entertainment, for your etc., for you, not for anyone else. Firstly and foremost, but for you. Everyone else comes later. You'll start doing things for others later. You start with yourself though. Now that we've discussed why people care about the ratings on Line Webtoon, we can go ahead and talk about what shouldn't influence your webtoon. Of course, popularity demands fame, attention, and just having a sense of belonging always does something good for the soul. It always makes us feel good when we have those things. However, it should not bring a perpetual motion for what happens for your comic. It should not be the rhyme or reason of what is or isn't, what it is the final say of what happens to that comic, because you should be in control of that. Not your ratings, not your watches, not your subscribers, none of that. And I think this is something, of course, that we forget. We don't do that. We don't look for those things. It's hard to go back to what made us do this to begin with. It's hard sometimes to reflect on ourselves and tell ourselves, you're not doing this for them, you're doing this for this. It's hard to do that, and at times it's not needed to be done. Does this make sense? What am I saying here? I am trying to say, when you are trying to raise a family, you need money, you need attention, you need these things. So it does impact someone's mind sometimes if these factors, these little bitty factors that you didn't think would mean so much, all of a sudden have a bigger impact in you because it's influencing how much people you get. And that it's shit. It really is. And especially if you, again, have to take care of family and this is your sole source of income, this hurts. So I understand that you have to be influenced. Sometimes you have to compromise. You have to pander, look around and pander just to get that thing to survive. But it should not hamper or dampen your creativity. Now, not moseying on too far from the shoreline here, let's go back and talk about what I think should change about the rating system a little bit. The rating system, first and foremost, is abysmal. It really is. It truly is. And am I saying this solely because of the way people are being rated? No, I'm saying this because of the method that Webtoon Canvas is choosing to embark on with this section or subset of their website. Canvas is a subset of Webtoon. It is a small corner of Webtoon that needs more attention, firstly, but is not up to a high standpoint, or should not be held to a high standpoint, as the big O's, the originals. So what is this endow? What am I hinting at here? Imbued in the circumstances that when you look at an originals, you have the same functionalities that you do on a Canvas series. You can rate it, you can subscribe to it, you can share it, you can see how many views it got. It has the same layout as a Canvas series does. You know what this implies to a reader? Someone who's reading? It implies to a reader who does not know about Canvas or is not as knowledgeable about Canvas, they have the same options as the Webtoon over here, the original series that I like to read. And why is their art so, why does it look bad? Why is the characters bad? Etc, etc. Why is it not up to standards? Why is it not up to par? It gives a bad impression on people who don't know about Canvas. And people think, okay, I can rate it and stuff, so it must be paid by Webtoon. They must be owned by Webtoon. These people must be professionals. And yeah, this goes into the line of thinking of, again, a childlike mentality. They might be children thinking this. But it still does that misunderstanding for people, and it does no good for a Canvas creator. So, going about roundabout way again, I'm trying to say, Canvas should not have a rating system. There, I said it. I think Webtoon needs to watch out the rating system on Canvas, and the rating system should be reserved. That's a good word. Reserved for the original series. The rating system should be only for the original series. The reason why is because they're held up to a higher standard, they have help, they have money, they're being paid, they could do this full time, they have, you know, this is their full-time job, some of them, so they have more tools incoming for them to make it a good webtoon, whereas us on Canvas, we don't have that luxury. Some of us don't have the time, some of us don't have the money, some of us don't have those things. They should really get rid of the rating system on Canvas, because you're rating amateurs. You're rating amateurs, guys. Come on. And am I saying that everyone on the Canvas section is not onto the same standard as an original? Oh, hell no, I'm not. Because I see some good works out there who deserve to be on originals. They deserve to be on the lineup. But I'm just saying, don't hold us to the same standard as originals. Just don't do that. And I think a lot of people can agree with me about this. It would probably be best if we just get rid of that function on Canvas, because it really just does not do anything for us. Now, I know some people are going to complain with the mentality that we have. The moment that the rating system goes down, people are going to start complaining. Why don't we have the same things as originals? Why don't we have the same things as originals? Well, that's the reason why. Because we're not the same. You're not being paid. Unless you're being paid by Patreon or Coffee. By the way, I got a Patreon, guys. If you're interested in supporting me on Patreon for a monthly basis on whatever works I got going on and whatever I do, and you just want to support me monthly, I got a Patreon. And if you're not all about the devotion, I get that. You can go ahead and donate to me. Just one-time donation on my Coffee, and go ahead and give me some coffee so I can supply myself with a good boost to work on some more comics. And if you're not into the donation thing, poof, who does that? You could go ahead and give me a commission, guys. I'm open for commissions. You like the works that I do? You like the art? Guess what? I'm open for commissions. Go ahead and go down to my bio below and see my commission info on my website, and I can go ahead and draw you a logo for your business, a character, a fan art character, whatever that you may have or desire me to draw. I can do that. And if you're not into commissions, what about commissions? You can just go ahead and subscribe. You can subscribe to my channel here, and that will do me a lick of good. All right, plug in over. What was I saying? That was weird. Oh, right. When we have the same standard of webtoon originals to Canvas, it's a bit unfair. It really is. The scale is unbalanced. So those are the things that I recommend that webtoon does to rectify these problems that arise within the Canvas community when it has to do with having to take on the criticisms and misunderstandings that people have about Canvas and originals. Now that we've gone over what I think needs to change, what I think should change, and maybe should change for the best of webtoon, let me know, guys. Let me know down in the comments below what you think should change about the rating system, or do you think it should stay the same? Do you think the rating system's easy to understand? You could comprehend it like the back of your hand. Everything's all fine and dandy. Go ahead and tell me in the comments below. Tell me what you liked about the video. Tell me what you didn't like. Tell me what you worked on. Tell me what you didn't work on. Tell me what you procrastinated on. Just go ahead and tell me all those jazzy snazzy things in the comments below. If you got anything else you want me to discuss in later videos, go ahead and pitch it to me and I'll give it a swing. And I believe that is all for today, everyone. Thank you for listening always to my videos, and especially this one, talking about a topic that's more that everyone can relate to and everyone feels and everyone impacted by. So again, thank you for listening. And with that said, I believe that is all for now. I will see you all in the next video, talk to you all in the next video, ramble in your ear about something in the next video, probably snag at the topic or whatever I have on the top of my head, and we'll go ahead and meet for the next meeting. All right, you are adjourned, and I'll leave it off here.